turn my mic on, and I will call to order Wilsonville City Council meeting for June 17th, 2019 at 7:07 p.m. and request a roll call, please.
Councillor West. Here. Councillor Stevens. Here. Council President Ackerval. Here. Councillor Lehan. Here. Mayor Knapp.
Here. Thank you all. Would the audience please rise and join us in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And council, I'd be open to a motion on order of agenda.
Your Honor, I move to approve the order of agenda.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we approve order of agenda previously published. Copies are on the counter at the side of the room if you would like to have one. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Bringing us to our communication section where we have a report, a talk by the Wilsonville Community Sharing representatives. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Keith Cack. I'm the Assistant Finance Director with the City of Wilsonville, and I'm here with Tammy Papo from the Wilsonville Community Sharing Board, and we're here to talk a little bit about in support of the resolution under consent agenda for the annual renewal of the Wilsonville Community Sharing Grant, which is slated for $51,921 beginning July 1st of 2019, and that'll be for the next fiscal year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tammy, and she can go from there.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us. Most of my board members are on vacation, so I'm representing them tonight. First of all, I'd like to say that we really appreciate your continued support, that we are, with your partnership, serving the most vulnerable in Wilsonville. I thought you might be interested in knowing a few statistics and then maybe a little story of kind of a typical scenario that we might encounter. And then if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. In the last 12 months, we have served 3,519 individuals in Wilsonville. We have given out 86,925 pounds of food in those to those 3,519 individuals. We have, with the grant, the PGE assistance grant, utility assistance grant, and then coupled with some of our monies, we have spent about $20,000 in the last 11 months on utility assistance, which seems to be a consistent demand. We're more than just a food bank. Most people know us as the food bank, but we also have an informational and referral specialist, and she helps connect people that come to us to other resources that are available. So if someone is coming to the food bank for food, it's usually a symptom of something much deeper, and Lonnie's there to help them kind of sort out what's going on and connect them to other resources. For example, just this year, a family of 4 came to us, and there was 2 parents and 2 children, and one parent was the sole breadwinner and was injured on the job, unable to work, and the work compensation hadn't arrived yet, and their 2 children had some type of medical issues that required prescriptions, which were expensive, of course. And so they were able to, one, utilize the food bank, and then Lonnie was able to connect them with some partners with Clackamas County. They were able to get the Oregon Health Plan started for the children while the gentleman was out of work. We were able to help them with rent, energy assistance, And that was partnering with the Heart of the City and St. Vincent de Paul and Clackamas County. And so that's a kind of a classic scenario where we are like a bridge for families that come into a crisis period and they have not a lot of backup resources. And we're just going to help them through a rough time and connect them with other resources that can help them. And the parent is on the mend, and I hear we'll be back to work soon. So that's kind of a classic story that is typical of what we might encounter. So I entertain any questions. I'm not sure what you'd like to know from us, but we'd be happy to try and answer anything that you're curious about or.
Okay, well, thank you for the report. Council, any questions you'd like to ask? Councilor Stevens?
So what I hear from that story is that's a family that probably, if it wasn't for community sharing, would have ended up homeless, maybe evicted from their apartment.
Yeah, perhaps they would have had to relocate
Into
to
the
live
car
with family or
relocate, right.
something of the nature.
Lost their residence. So just covering that gap while they went through a crisis, it really was a life crisis.
Yes.
And then able to do that, and then they can restabilize. That's what Wilsonville Community Sharing is all about, I
Yes.
think. It's just, thank you for doing that.
Yes,
It's
thank you
awesome.
for your
That's a
support.
good story.
A couple of years ago, we worked with Community Sharing to try to, I think you hired an outside consultant to work with getting your donation program set up to be more sustainable and to have more avenues, some online and some other things like that. Do you have any update on that information, on how the contribution base is working at this point in time?
We seem to have a steady contribution base. We revamped our website. We've been trying to be at all the community events within Wilsonville to broaden our awareness. A lot of people still don't know about us, which, we want everyone possible to know about us. Refer someone if they need help. We have just been really transparent and out in the community, I say again, and so we seem to have steady support.
Councilor West?
Am I on? There I am. I know that as a citizen and my family are very proud to have you guys a part of Wilsonville. And you guys exemplify the values and the core of who we are as a community. And people forget this sometimes, that before we had the safety nets that we had provided by the government, we took care of each other. And the safety net was churches and synagogues and people of faith and nonprofits. And they rallied around those in need in their community. They knew the need of those in their community better than anybody else, better than any government program, better than any big bureaucracy, but they were nimble and able to, in a very gracious and human way, meet the need of their neighbor. And I think you guys are super special. And I am so proud that you guys are our neighbors. If you don't know where they're at, they're right by Smart right now, for now. So I am glad that as a city we can partner with you and make sure that the most vulnerable in our community are taken care of, and that without judgment, that we can wrap our arms around them and make sure that their very practical needs are taken care of. And I'm sure the rest of us as a council are really proud of you guys. And thank you for the work you do, even though you don't get recognized enough.
Oh, thank you. We don't do it for recognition, but thank you very much.
Mr. Cosgrove?
Bill, could you raise your hand? Do you know Bill Evans? He can help you with promotions. We like to try and do like we do for the Imagination Library. We can get information out for you. We can help educate people about your programs and services. So I think that's something that we should just consider doing on an annual basis. So I would connect with Bill and he could probably write a story for you guys.
Super.
All right.
I love that.
Anything else? The partnership between the public sector and the volunteers is now quite a few years old, and I'm glad that we have both resources to provide, since we still have need that we wish was not in the community, but it's here, and I think we need to deal with it. And I want to second, the vote of thanks for all the citizens that volunteer and work with that need. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much. This brings us to citizens' input and community announcements, which is an opportunity for visitors to address council on anything that's not on the agenda. Also a time to address things that are on the agenda but not scheduled for a formal public hearing. Staff and council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during this portion, either before tonight's meeting ends or as soon as possible thereafter. We do ask you to hold your comments to 3 minutes. And I have a couple of speaker cards. If there's anyone else that would like to speak in this section, please complete a card and pass it forward to the city recorder while we're underway here. Jamie Arbone, please.
Good evening, Council. Thanks for your time. Chair, every other week, reminder from your local cancer patient how important my medication is to me. And I wanted to bring to your attention in my 3 minutes this session to show you what's already currently happening in your neighborhood. This is 3 ounces of CBD honey that I purchased at the Wilsonville Farmers Market. This vendor's out there every week with the farmers market. This is a jar of CBD honey that has no test results, no labeling from a lab, and it's $50. $50, and it's being sold as medication in your neighborhood right now. No lab results and no tax for our community. In following the very kind advice that I received from President Akkerval and from Mayor Knapp to begin a referendum initiative, I learned that Wilsonville put in place several years ago when they were not aware, as Councilor Lehan had mentioned to me several weeks ago, they had never said no, just perhaps that we don't know. You have an expert in your backyard. I went to school for this, and I'm now a patient using it to help battle breast cancer. My life has been saved because of this life-saving item. The voters of Oregon have approved it, and it is completely surrounding you. It's in your neighborhood now illegally. If I follow the referendum and try and repeal the current city ordinance banning cannabis and get my business in place, I'll have to pay 12% city tax instead of 3%, as stated by City Council in 2014, an actual disincentive to new business. New business that would lower crime, increase property values, and help the elderly and those of us battling cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, the list goes on, but I only have 1 more minute left. I invite our council to please take a look at the current ordinance and at least making changes to it. I'm happy to do my due diligence and do my part. And I would just like to say I will continue to bring forth what's happening in your community. And every 2 weeks, I'll use my 3 minutes to educate our council so that maybe you guys can know the benefits to both the human body and our community and our economics in our backyard. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Scott Starr, please.
Long time no see, everybody. Hi, Council. Brian, Barbara, good to see you. Is it true? I heard a rumor that this is Susie's last meeting. Is this true?
Yes.
Well, I wanted just to say a few words if you guys would indulge me. So, good evening. I wanted to come back tonight to honor and to say thank you to Councilor Stevens for her commendable work over the past 6.5 years. I was blessed with the opportunity to serve on Wilsonville City Council for 6 of those years, and I got to sit right beside her. What I witnessed was a talented, compassionate, and community-building counselor who worked extremely hard to do her homework, understand the issues, provide her point of view, and vote with integrity on the issues at hand. Wilsonville is a better place because Susie Stevens donated her time and talents to make it that way. She was a counselor who brought realness, respect for her city, and humility to each meeting. She demanded an understanding of the issues for herself and her constituents, and she carried out her duties with a genuine elegance. I like those 2 words, genuine elegance. I think that describes her very well. Wilsonville will miss her advocacy, especially with the library, and her work ethic. I am proud that I got a chance to serve with Councilor Stevens, and I appreciate her service, her dedication, and most of all, her friendship. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. That's so nice. Thank you.
Great job.
That was nice, and it is Susie's last meeting with us, but we will be looking for a replacement, and we'll be posting a open position very shortly, and all of you volunteers in the audience, if you are so inclined, will have an opportunity to apply to be on Wilsonville City Council, should you be so moved. And we hope that we have a strong pool of candidates to choose from. We've had numerous very professional and capable people serving on council over the last couple of decades, and I am confident we will continue to be able to say that as we move forward. So that will be an interesting process that we will embark on here very soon. Are there any other members of the public would like to speak? I don't have any other speaker cards at this point. So I think that we will move then on into the mayor's business section, where our graduates of this year's Citizens Academy are our first order of business up. Ms. Monahan, I think, has a little bit to impart to us.
Thank you, Mayor. So this evening, I just wanted to share a little bit about our Citizens Academy program and what our participants have learned this year before we get into their graduation. So I'm Zoe Monahan. I'm the assistant to the city manager for the city of Wilsonville, and I have the pleasure of working with our Citizens Academy members. So let's just dive in. So we have 25 participants every year. Tonight, we have 21 that are here this evening. And they have been meeting over the last 6 months to learn about our community. They come from various neighborhoods throughout the community. They've been very engaged and they've been very active participants in this learning environment. Additionally, they've had 2 field trips to the state capitol as well as to Coffee Creek. They learned about various departments around the city, from community development, finance, parks and recreation, and public works. And again, they were very interactive sessions. As you can see in the pictures, they got to plan their community after learning about Villebois and the things that community development does every day. They also got to learn about our partners. We had the opportunity to talk to Tualatin Valley Fire District, as well as hearing a presentation from the Sheriff's Department, not only the Wilsonville Police, but also the extended services that the Sheriff's Department provides to the community. And of course, the field trips. This is the highlight of our program, and from the surveys I've received so far, that's what I hear people really enjoy and would love to see more of. So our participants actually get the opportunity to try out SMART, go to the state capitol. They met Courtney Neron as well, Representative Courtney Neron, as well as Senator Kim Thatcher when they were at the Capitol. We toured Coffee Creek Correctional Facility and had the opportunity to see both Station 56 and our water and wastewater plants. And this is our list of participants for 2019.
All right, council, any questions you would like to ask or comments? Councilor Eckwall?
I feel like we should make a comment. I just want to say to all the participants, I really am glad to see the participation in this program, and thank you for giving time over several months to learn more about Wilsonville. I hope that it's been a productive and engaging experience for you. And I'm just excited to see what happens next for you all. I know that there's, many people that are already very involved in the community and serving on different boards and in different ways that they are providing service to the community. But I'm excited to see what happens next and kind of welcome you all into the fold of many valuable volunteers for the city of Wilsonville. I participated in the first Leadership Academy that the city did a couple years ago. I don't know. I'm not good. A couple. And then, it was a great experience for me, and here I am. So I hope that maybe you'll decide to follow suit and deepen your engagement as part of your learnings and your experience in this process. Thank you.
Councilor Stevens.
Thanks. So I think this is a really wonderful program that the city started 6 years ago when Angela was here.
It was 2014 or 15.
2014, 15. Okay, so 5 years. So because what it does, and I thank you all for taking the time out of your busy lives to take the time to learn about your city, because what it does is it creates educated citizens about what happens at a city and how it all works, and how the things that, when you go to a park or drive down the street and everything, that doesn't happen just magically. There's intent there, and it's because of what happens here at City Hall. And so having citizens who know something about that and then can speak with that knowledge to their neighbors, you spread that word. And so things that seem very simple, you can just spin it and, why don't they just do that? You understand now how much more complex things can be when you're trying to manage a city and put together a city. So I really appreciate this program, and the fact that you have the numbers you do year after year after year shows how engaged our citizens are. And that really, I'm impressed by that. So thank you. Thank you, Zoe, for doing it too.
Of course.
Councilor West.
Congratulations. It is great that you guys chose to take your time to become engaged where you live and be active citizens. You have 2 counselors that's gone through the Citizens Academy. It's beneficial. And I would encourage you to not stop there. If it's a board, commission, if it's a volunteer opportunity, a nonprofit, or something to engage in the city, please keep plugging in. It's active citizens like you that make Wilsonville so great and allow us to be the city that we are and to be effective. And so I would encourage you to continue to plug in, continue to give back to your city, and congratulations, you guys completed the program.
I would add my congratulations and appreciation that everyone has taken the time and shown the interest to come and do this. It's the end of this particular session, but it's only the start of what could be a whole variety of different volunteer opportunities. I believe firmly that the community is only what its people are and what they're willing to invest in their neighborhoods and in their social groups and in their community as a whole. And that is an area that Wilsonville has always been very strong in. And I think that many of us work to be sure that it continues in the same way. So in a lot of ways, you folks that have put in this time are the next phase of Wilsonville. You know, what will we be? What will we value? Where will we put our times and efforts? The collective answer that you give to that will help set the direction for our community. So thank you all for your thoughtful participation on that. Councillor Lehan, did you have a?
Well, I just wanted to say I don't want it to sound like we're referring to these people as a bunch of neophytes, because I know that there are many individuals here who have deep background in government and public affairs already, and they are that also so they're already coming here with a pretty significant skill set, several of them, looking at these names. And so thank you for bringing your experience to bear on the city.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Cosgrove, we have a presentation ceremony?
We do. We have a small token of our appreciation to our citizens. And so the way this is hopefully going to work is I'm going to read off the individual's name. You're going to be over there by Zoe.
Okay.
You're going to present them with their small token. And then we're going to go through the whole list of names. At the very end, we're going to give them all a very hearty round of applause. So hold your applause for the individual names. And then we'll have everybody come out here into the U-shaped area. We'll have council out there. Everybody can hold up their signs. I'm giving away the end here, but we'll get some nice pictures from Mr. Evans back there. And then we'll take just like a 2-minute break to allow Zoe to take them. I think you have some a place you're going to take them after this. So that's kind of the program.
All right, sounds good. Why don't we do that?
So I will read the first name, Bob Applegate. So Bob, hey, Bob, you were just tall guys in back, so you'll be right back against the wall there. Donna Atkinson.
Oh, that's so cool.
Those are terrific.
That's a great idea.
Kim Bishop.
That's fantastic. Look at that. Hi, Donna.
This is what, when you go to a conference and you listen to what other people are doing? We stole this from Hillsborough. Robert Candrian.
I hope we didn't make any spelling errors anywhere here.
Yeah.
We double and triple check that. Yeah.
Okay.
These are great.
Aho Chen. Dean Combs.
Yeah.
Nancy Combs. John Cronkrite. Did I get that right, John? Excellent. Thank you. Fariba Farugi. Olive Gallagher. Natasha Haas. Christopher Holmes. Bill will resituate you all when he gets ready to take the picture.
I know.
Erica Markle. Catherine Poff. Angela Roccograndi. Thomas Shockless. Jean Svedlanka. Sup? Tanasombat. Is that good? Jay Townsend. Jerry Wolf. And James Young, and then we will all applaud heartily. And if we can get the rest of the council out here with the Citizen Academy participants, we'll take some pictures. Yeah, just anywhere. And the folks in back, if you could hold the signs over your heads so we can get some good.
So I'm gonna need you all to move in there.
There we go. Hold them high. Is that pretty good? So do you want in there? Oh, that's awesome, you guys.
Pretty good composition. All right, now I just need your attention. Charlotte, I need you to take a half step to the right. Perfect. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna not stop counting. 6. Did I forget anything? 7. Okay.
Thanks, guys. See you, Bob. That's awesome. You like that sign? We'll get you one. Yeah. That's it. Nope. No. What would you do with a gold watch? Wear it? Actually, yeah, we'll get you a gold watch. Whatever you want. It can't be any more expensive than that.
She just gave me like 12 more quotes. I think I'm good for now. So many quotes. That's what they're beautiful. Peacemakers.
So we have some other awards or recognitions, I guess we should say. We have a proclamation about the art that the students did for the buses. And we have a representative from SMART here to tell us a little bit about it, maybe. Good evening.
Mayor Knapp, councilors, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ellie Work, and I'm the Grants and Programs Manager for SMART in the city of Wilsonville. When we found out we were getting those electric buses, Scott Simonton, Michelle Marston, and myself got in touch with high school art teachers, specifically Christopher Chatola Hart of Wilsonville High School and Philip Clark of Wilsonville Arts and Technology High School. They've put together 2 teams of students, one from each high school, brought them together on their own time, and for over a year, they stuck with this project to create a work of art for those buses. Those students are Leilani Bautista, Vianney Bautista, Jasleen Bular, Eulasia Gates, Eleanor Carrick, Angelica Maldonado, Max McGuire, and Mason Wright. And we want to do something special for all 10 of them on the day, the event, the great event on June 26. And Transit Director Dwight Brashear thought a proclamation would be appropriate. And so that's what we're asking for tonight.
Entirely appropriate in my view. So thank you for taking the time and thought to put this together. I have that proclamation here and I would like to read it. Electric Bus Art Students Day, June 26, 2019. Whereas SMART and the City of Wilsonville enlisted the help of local students to design the artwork for the new electric buses. And whereas the students and teachers, Christopher Chatola-Hart from Wilsonville High School and Philip Clark from Wilsonville Arts and Technology High School, spent over a year dedicated to this project. And whereas 8 students, and I'm going to try to read their names also here, Leilani Bautista, Vinaya Bautista, Jasleen Bular, Bulasia Gates, Eleanor Carrick, Angelica Maldonado, Max McGuire, and Mason Wright, created a beautiful fine art watercolor depicting several landmarks in Wilsonville with a green and sustainable message. And whereas your presentation to the City Council on December 17th, 2018, amazed, delighted, and thrilled everyone in attendance. And whereas your exceptional work will be enjoyed by the residents of Wilsonville for many years to come. And whereas students sharing their time and talent reflects great honor on them, their families, and their community. Now, therefore, I, Tim Knapp, as mayor of the City of Wilsonville, do hereby proclaim June 26th as Electric Bus Art Students Day in Wilsonville. And I have a formal proclamation that I will bring to you.
Find this composition much easier to orchestrate. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Under Mayor's business.
Did we remind people about the time and location for that?
We said June 26th several times. That's at,
4 o'clock it starts, and we'll go till probably about 6 p.m.
okay, at
It's at SMART.
Smart Center on Boberg Road.
Yes. SMART Center on Boberg Road.
Okay, sounds good. Next item we have under Mayor's business is our renewal of the city manager's contract. Mr. Cosgrove has been with us 8 years now?
Going on 9.
Going on 9 years. So quite an extended tenure as time flies by. We have had an opportunity to work with Mr. Cosgrove in a variety of different settings and through a variety of different problems. And I, speaking for myself personally, feel like we have benefited greatly from his leadership, from his perspective, from the balance and the sort of practical, calm approaches he brings to all of his work, and the quality of the city team that he has assembled and imbued with pride in our city and in the job they do. I think those are all great things that we have benefited from and continue to benefit from. As such, it's a process we go through that the City Council President, Councilor Akkerval, and I have met with him. All the council was invited to do some input on the work through the past year, and we have reviewed all of that information. It is a recommendation that we bring to the council that we renew Mr. Cosgrove's contract for another 2-year period and schedule annual increases, and that we proceed with all the work that the city is doing with his help. So I don't know if council, do you have any Comments you'd like to make at this point on this topic?
Go ahead. You're the president.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the leadership that we've had for the last several years. And thank you for the excellent leadership we're going to be having going into the future. There's definitely an energy I feel from staff, and that energy just keeps on moving forward. And we see that people have pride in their work here, and I think that's very important. And I know that that is fostered by your direction and your leadership and your trust in people as well, to do that job that they're passionate about. And so thank you for all of those qualities and things that you bring to the city. I'm very proud of my city, and I know that you have a big hand in what's going on here. So thank you.
Councilor Stevens?
Well, as I've said before, I wouldn't want to do your job because I know it is huge. It is huge, managing a city and all the things you have going on. But you do it with such grace and diplomacy, and I appreciate so much the support you give us. You're always well-informed. You always, when we go sideways once in a while, you go, here's where what the law, here's where the law says, well, here's what the law says, or here's what you need, where you need to stay. Because sometimes, it doesn't happen very often, but that has, you give us the boundaries for what, to keep us on track, I think. And I appreciate that, because it makes for a much more efficient council and the work we do. And you bring that knowledge base. When we have a question, you're there and you have the answer. So I just appreciate your leadership qualities so much. And I hope you stay for a long, 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 long time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Lehan?
Yes, I would say one of the jobs of a city manager is building a strong and talented and ethical team, and I think that's what we have at Wilsonville, and you've been able to continue to build that. It's always a challenge because your team is always changing. People retire, move on, and so keeping that sort of cohesiveness in a team effort is the challenge of a city manager, and I think it shows, as other people have said. So, thank you for that.
Councilor West, anything?
I'm glad you're staying on for another 2 years. And thank you. They've all said it. And I think we're all in one voice here that we're ecstatic that you're a city manager and that another city doesn't have you. So you're ours, and we're happy that you're here. And your work is evident by how amazing and the great work that this city staff does as a whole, and it starts from the top down. And thank you for bringing your skills here to Wilsonville.
Thank you.
Certainly, I agree with all of that. Mr. Cosgrove, would you like to?
Well, I would like to pass credit up to you and down to my staff. Nothing good happens if it's not a team effort. So I will say, as I've said every time we've gone through this, that I'm very pleased to be here. I fully intend to, if I can make this my last job, I will. So I'm announcing my loyalty to Wilsonville for now and into the future. So, and it's a job made much easier because I do have a great team, but it's also made easier that I have a city council that really cares about good government and just getting things done for the community without any kind of ego whatsoever. It's just all about the citizens and the businesses we serve. So thank you. And thank you to my staff. It really is a fun place to work. And I think I would be remiss if I did not thank my predecessor, who I shared with you all, passed away certainly set, if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else, set that person up for success. I just happened to be the happy recipient of that. But coming into a modern city hall makes it, you know, somewhat easier to attract talent as well. And I know that took some vision and some courage, but if you look around this community, as I said in my email to you, Ms. Lobel deserves a lot of credit for setting me up and for the city up with, you know, the structure is very sound here. Financially, the planning, the beautiful amenities that are in this community. So I feel like I need to thank her, even though she's not here to hear that thanks. It's something that I feel very strongly about saying tonight. So thank you.
Councilor President Akkerval, I think, has a motion for this contract based on the discussions that we've had and a candid and helpful talk that we had with Mr. Cosgrove over the weekend. So do you have that motion?
I do. I move to approve the extension of Mr. Cosgrove's contract as city manager from June 20th, 2019 to June 19th, 2021, as outlined in the employment agreement with a base compensation of $178,880 for the year June 20th, 2019 through June 19th, 2020, and $185,141 for the year beginning June 20th, 2020 through June 19th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion?
You can never leave.
It's on the record. It's on the record. Your loyalty is on the record.
If everyone's had a chance to have their say, I'll ask for the vote on the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Welcome back to Wilsonville. All right, one last item of mayor's business is my report. Been busy somehow. I don't know how we get it all in. I met with Washington County Chair Catherine Harrington, had a nice extended discussion. Attended the Oregon Tech Wilsonville campus senior student project symposium and reception for the graduating class, which is always an exciting thing to see all the projects that people come up with and what they're working on as they go out into the world. Wilsonville was a formal host for the Clackamas County Business Alliance Breakfast. It was sponsored by the city and by Smart Transit. We heard a presentation on Clackamas Workforce Partnership that seeks to coordinate workforce development across the many parts of Clackamas County and the different resources that we have in the county. Attended the June Metropolitan Mayors Consortium meeting and the June Greater Portland Inc. Small Cities Consortium meeting. We had the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee Annual Planning Retreat, a 2-day retreat that was working pretty intensively on both transportation issues and housing issues across the county. And I was able to participate in the visit of Congressman Kurt Schrader to the SMART facility this morning to get a preview of our electric buses, since he will be unable to be here on the West Coast when we do our formal grand opening on the 26th. So lots of events going on. Upcoming is the next session of the Joint Metro Advisory Committee on Transportation. The Metro Transportation 2020 Funding Measure Task Force, the Westside Economic Alliance Forum, where we will hear Metro President and the county commission chairs for Washington, Clackamas, and Multnomah counties all on the same panel, responding to questions and presenting their perspectives. So we are in a very busy time of year, lots going on, and it's always a hustle to try to stay up with everything. So that then would bring us to our liaison reports, our councilor reports, starting with Councilor President Akkerval.
I just wanted to take a moment and say to the community, this evening we were able to celebrate the graduates from our Leadership Academy, and there's many other graduates and our community, if it's graduating from high school or college, or even the kindergarten graduations that I saw going through Lowry in 5th grade, promotion moving on to middle school or 8th grade to high school. Just wanted to say that we're proud of all of those students' achievements at every phase that they are entering and have completed. And on the schedule, there was a few things I wanted to call out. There's a mother and son night out at Memorial Park River Shelter on the 21st. I believe that's Friday night, next Friday night, from 6 to 8 p.m. And I believe there's going to be tie-dyeing happening and some other fun activities. There is so much to do in Wilsonville in the summer, and so we're just kind of starting into this busy time. Next Thursday is the start of some of the the children's programs in the summer. I think there's a juggler is on the schedule for next Thursday, and then the Thursday after that it's a puppet show or something, but it's just one after another now that we're into summer. So make sure that we all are able to take advantage of some of the really cool, fun programming that our city has in the summer time here. And is this the opportunity when we can make some comments for our?
If you would like, it's
because I don't want to lose that opportunity.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, I just have, I have so much appreciation for Counselor Stevens, and want to send you off with just congratulations to you too for the accomplishments. Yeah, you're graduating. The accomplishments that you brought, in council, and also the excitement that I know you have for what's to come. Yeah. And we share that excitement for you too. We will miss you dearly, but we also share that excitement. You have brought you have a spirit of adventure that and I think you're bringing that to your next, your next phase as well, but you've brought it to council, and such a great positive attitude that just vibrates out from you. It radiates, and you also have a sense of practicality that I think is sometimes, people don't maybe it could be an undervalued skill, but it's incredibly useful and helpful in this this role in council, and I've appreciated that. You've brought so much to the city, so thank you very, very much, and it's been a real kick serving with you on council.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, if I might take the prerogative, I might delay and give you the last word instead of, is that all right? Councilor Lehan.
Oh, wait, jumped up on me. So, the only thing I want to, in terms of upcoming events, I want to mention is the McMinimans History Pub on the 25th, which is should be a very interesting one on the legacy of the Tillamook burn. And it's presented by Doug Decker, who's a retired Oregon State Forester, and has been a project leader at the Tillamook Forest Center. So if you have a chance, that will be on the 25th at McMinimans at the old church. Doors open at 5, and the event begins at 6:30, but you have to get there by 5 or 5:30 or you won't have a seat because it's a popular event, and this probably will attract a lot of people on Tillamook burn. And then regarding Councilor Stevens, I just want to say that that it's quite annoying to me that she's leaving.
I know.
Because because I spent, I don't know, I think about 10 years trying to talk her into running for the city council or being available for appointment to the city council. And she was running the whole thing over at Charbonneau. She was serving on Pam. She was doing all these things, and she kept telling me, "Oh, no, I wouldn't. I'm just not. I don't do things in the public." You don't do things in the public? Well, you do all these things in the public. And excellent speaker, and she didn't. She had many excuses for why she could not do this, and that was just not her style. But clearly, she was brilliant from the first day that she came on the city council. So you see, I was right, you were wrong. And of course, I expected you would stay and eventually maybe even be mayor or something like that. But anyway, now she's up and leaving. But she did leave the door open a little bit that, you know, perhaps when she gets the wanderlust out of her system, she might come back and make herself available yet again for something or other. So I will look forward to that time and
Thank you, Charlotte.
hope you have a fun time.
It was a very funny and accurate description of our relationship.
I was the nagger.
Yeah, I was the naggy.
But thank you for your service and hope you have a wonderful wanderlust around the world.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor West.
Couple things. I had a couple fun but smaller events that I got to partake in. One was, they're not here, and I hope they get a chance to see this because I was really proud of them, is two boys, Jackson and Boomer Pippert out of Villebois, had been contacting me about their dream, and we talked about this, for I got to get this right, a mountain bike facility park somehow included in our parks plan, or somehow doing this because they started getting really involved with their dad. They go down to Dallas, Oregon. There's not a great place in the metro area, so they made a PowerPoint for me, and they emailed me. And on one's, Jackson's going into the 8th grade, and his brother, Boomer, I believe, is in 6th or 7th grade, and they really were passionate, and they sat down with me and asked me all kinds of questions and presented to me, and we referred them on to the Parks Department. But it was so awesome to be able to be a part of these young boys engaging their elected official that lives down the street on their dream of this mountain bike park, and their dad and mom facilitating this is how the process works. We taught them what a bond was and how master planning, and talked to about all that thing and citizen involvement. So they're starting early. We even have future probably enrollees into the Citizens Academy already engaging. So that was great to be a part of. That was fun. And then I was invited, I think the mayor was out of town, but they approached me. They invited me at the Children of the Revolution, invited me to come, and they had their kind of inaugural Wilsonville event. I guess I didn't know much about them, but the participants have some type of ancestry connection to somebody that was in the Revolutionary War. And they promote community service, activism, and kids being involved in patriotic activities and being engaged citizens. And so that was another youth event where I got to welcome them and say, thanks for being engaged, and we look forward to your service to the city. And that was fun to be a part of too. And then we had such a holiday weekend, right? In June 1969, the Stonewall riots happened. And this month is the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots. And it was the catalyst for LGBT rights, not only in America, but across the world. And up to that point, people like my family couldn't exist. And the fact that 50 years later I get to be a dad and sit on the Wilsonville City Council was not possible in this country. We lived in shadows. And it was a really reflective time for my family to do a little bit of participation, a few things at Pride event weekend. and now you see families and kids and other municipalities and elected officials and Nike and Kaiser and big entities really saying that you have a place in our community, you have a place in our society, and you're valued, and your humanity is the same as mine. And that was really special to be a part of, and to see how much better we, as not only the state of Oregon in the Portland area, but as a country, are living up so much better to our founding ideals, from the Stonewall riots, from the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich, New York, to today, where we are today, was really a neat thing to be a part of. So just take a moment for that weekend that we had. And I got to celebrate my sixth Father's Day. So that was pretty special. And then, Susie, I just got to know you. we hadn't met before I joined on council, but I've said this, I think, to the mayor. I think I've said it to Kristen. I think I said it today to Councilor Lehan, is that you made me feel so welcome when I first came, and your smile was wonderful. Your kindness was wonderful, and hopefully we won't lose touch, because I think you are a wonderful member of this council, and I look forward to serving with you. And though it was only for 6 months, thank you for your kindness, and thank you for extending that friendship. And I'm a little bit jealous that you're going to get to go to Europe. I did just get back. But I would like to second Councilor Lehan and said maybe that wanderlust. We're the eternal optimists on this council here. Thank you for everything you've done for the community even before I knew you, and I wish you the best.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Well, City Councilor Susie Stevens certainly would second everything I've heard, and I've enjoyed the time we've spent together, the initiatives we've worked on together, the intense discussions we sometimes have had, and all of that I think has made our community a better place. So thank you for your work that way. And I hope you have an enjoyable and interesting next phase of your life, and that you may come back to us at some point and bring your increased wisdom and experience with you. So
Thank you.
it would be nice.
Thank you.
Would you like to say?
Sure. Tough night for me, actually. I know it's I use the term bittersweet. You know, it is hard to leave this. It was a hard, again, I've said it before, a hard decision. But as Charlotte, I love that word, wanderlust. I hadn't used it yet, but I'm going to capture that, because that's what I want to experience. That I want to see the world. I have had a few opportunities in my life, but I really want to travel the world as much as I can while I can. And you know, the timing isn't great because of my commitment here, but I feel like I just cannot wait any longer. So I'm on my way. And I will miss all of you, not just here, but everyone here, so much, because, you know, this is where I come twice a month. and it's the relationships that really make a city great. It's, you know, all the other stuff happens, but it's the relationships I value with each and every one of you, and that are not going to end. I'm just going to wander off for a while, wanderlust away, and then come on back, because I know I'm going to come back. This is my home. This is, Wilsonville will always be my home. I can't ever imagine living anywhere else. I've thought to myself a few times in my life, I wish I hadn't found the Pacific Northwest, because there is no place more awesome than the Pacific Northwest. But don't tell anybody else, because people move here. So, yeah, a little bit. So, but, you know, I know there are also some really cool places in the world. So I'm going to go there, but this is going to be home. So I will be back, and maybe I'll be sitting on that side like what Scott did tonight, which was really wonderful. Scott, thank you for coming tonight. And give you my opinion about what you're all deliberating about, what I think. And so, and then maybe join council again. I don't know. But I want to tell you all how much I appreciate all of you in so many different ways. And it's tough, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your words, your kind, wonderful words. Thank you. And you guys too. You're awesome. The staff. Thank you. Take care.
And thank you. All right, let's go on and get some business finished up here. We have a fairly robust consent agenda tonight, if we could ask for that.
Resolution number 2754, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing support grant agreement with Wilsonville Community Sharing. Resolution number 2755, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville for adoption of the City of Wilsonville addendum to the Clackamas County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan. Thank you. Resolution number 2756, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute the Tri-County Metropolitan Transportation District of Oregon TriMet subrecipient agreement. Resolution number 2757, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville acting in its capacity as the local contract review board, authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Moore Excavation, Inc. for construction of the Garden Acres Road and PLM 1.2 water transmission line project.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we approve consent agenda as read. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, passes 5-0. Bringing us to our public hearings. Let's see, if we could ask for, first of all, Resolution 2753.
Resolution number 2753, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment for fiscal year 2018-19.
So I will need to, according to statute, call to order Wilsonville City Council public hearing on Resolution 2753 as has been read. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, council will take public testimony tonight in a public hearing format conducted as follows. First, city staff will present their report, then we will receive testimony by proponents, opponents, and those neither in favor nor against the proposed resolution. If you wish to testify, please complete a speaker card from the counter at the side of the room, pass forward to the city recorder. When called, come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and make your statement. I do request those providing testimony not repeat testimony already given, simply indicating your agreement with certain prior testimony is entirely sufficient. Ms. Rodacker.
Thank you. Kathy Rodacker, the Finance Director. Hard to believe we're 13 days till the end of the fiscal year. That's big time in a finance world. We do have two supplemental budget requests. One is for facilities. That's a $15,000 for additional costs of the van that they purchased for the janitors. And the fleet fund, you know, one day you read the fuel's going to go up, and the next day, oh, the fuel's going to go down. But we decided just to play it safe and request an additional $17,500, excuse me, for fuel expense. If we don't spend it, then it just goes back into the contingency for next year. So those are the two requests that we have for our last supplemental budget adjustment for the fiscal year.
Okay. Is there any question for staff? Is there any member of the public that would like to speak? I've not received a speaker card from anyone on this topic. If there's a person who would like to speak, now would be the time. And if not, I will close the public hearing. I declare closed and ask council, what is your pleasure with regard to Resolution 2753?
You might as well make a whole bunch of
My last one.
motions.
I move that we approve resolution, what is it again?
2753.
2753 on first reading?
No, it's not a first.
Oh, okay, it's not first reading. I move we approve. God, all these years I've been doing this and I can't get this one. Jeez. Half a brain is out the door. I move we approve resolution
753.
2753.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We approve Resolution 2753. Discussion. Pretty much routine adjustment, final supplemental
We're good with
budget
it.
adjustment for the year.
We're good.
Good.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0, bringing us to ordinance 816 on first reading.
Resolution number 816, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Wilsonville repealing and replacing Wilsonville Code, Chapter 11, fees.
And per statute, I once again need to read the formal wording. I will call to order a Wilsonville City Council public hearing on ordinance number 816. Ladies and gentlemen, the council will take public testimony tonight in a public hearing format conducted as follows. First, city staff will present their report. Then we will receive testimony by proponents, opponents, and those neither in favor nor against the proposed ordinance. If you wish to testify, please complete a speaker card from the counter at the side of the room. Pass it forward to the city recorder. When called, come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and make your statement. I request those providing testimony not repeat testimony already given, simply indicating your agreement with certain prior testimony is entirely sufficient.
Thank you, Mayor Knapp. Amanda Guile-Hinman, Assistant City Attorney. And I have with me Kathy Rodecker. She is the Finance Director, and also Patty Nelson, the City Engineer. So tonight we are here for the public hearing on the revisions to Wilsonville Code Chapter 11. This has been a collaborative effort among our engineering, building, finance, and legal staff, and that collaboration's not going to end with the passage of this. We've got a lot of process work ahead of us that I will be outlining. So just some background. This is a very high-level overview since we've had a few work sessions on this issue already. As the council knows, ORS 223.297 through 223.314 provides the general framework for system development charges that the city can charge. But it is a high-level overview. So getting into the details is where our city code comes in. Chapter 11 was last updated in 1994. In March of 2018, the League of Oregon Cities published a new model code for system development charges, which led staff to start looking at our code, prompting us to do some clarifications. And then when we started doing the clarifications to the system development charges, we noticed that there were other issues in Chapter 11 that we should be addressing since we're going to be working on the SDC code as well. So here's just a high-level overview of the revisions that are proposed. First is that we're proposing to renumber the sections and put the SDC section first. That is those provisions are the ones that are most heavily used in the city and relied on, so it makes sense that they'd be first. We also deleted outdated sections that no longer apply, such as the Boundary Commission, which doesn't exist anymore. And a waiver of fees provision that was kind of just out there on its own and didn't really have any use. So we also clarified information in sections. So for example, we have a city lien section, and it was outdated as far as what we need to be charging for searches of our city lien docket. So we've updated that. And then finally, we just updated the SDC provisions, which was the bulk of the work. And just to go over a few things that we did, and as council knows, we essentially overhauled the whole section. So these are very high level, like I said. First is when SDCs are calculated, that will be at the, when a building permit application is deemed complete. Generally that can be done at the counter or at most within a week, according to our building official. But generally they can pretty much have it done either right at the counter or in the next day or so. When SDCs are collected is at issuance of building permit. So when the applicant comes in and physically gets that permit that allows them to start building is when the payment is due. We also spent a good deal of time going over the credits, the SDC credit provisions, where we now are really getting into a lot of detail about the process for submitting for credits and also the review that the city undertakes to approve the credits. We also put in timelines because right now there's no timeline for, when an applicant, once they've completed a project, needs to turn in their receipts and then get paid by the city. So it can leave these outstanding credits just kind of out there. And so it puts timeframes on all of that. So both the city and the developer are moving forward in getting those credits issued. And I just want to briefly go over the transferability of the SDC credits. This is something that we've talked about in work session before. Generally speaking, in the region, transferability is not allowed. Just as a general review, Tualatin, West Lynn, Lake Oswego, Sherwood, Newburgh, and Oregon City do not allow transfer of SDC credits. Tigard does. And so we went with a compromise of allowing 75% of the SDCs to be transferable. And that's, we didn't do 100% because there is administrative burden that is associated with doing the credit transfer. And so we felt like that was an appropriate deduction, or reduction, I guess I should say. The final item that we updated was the ADU policy. So the city does not require or waives SDCs for ADUs. That's the city policy, and it's also something that's required by Metro for our future developments in our expanded UGB areas. So we're codifying that policy within the SDC provisions. So with that, the next steps are we have our public hearing tonight and our second reading on July 1st. We've set an effective date of September 3rd, and that's specifically because, like I mentioned earlier, about the process for our internal process for our staff. The SDC credits and how we're going to be processing them is changing a little bit, and especially with the detail that we're putting into this code. And so after this gets adopted, well, assuming that it gets approved on first reading tonight, we will then begin, starting tomorrow, the work with staff to get everything ready, the documents ready, and getting staff all up to speed on how this process will work before it gets implemented on September 3rd. And that's our overview for you.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions for staff with regard to this fairly complex code section?
Just one quick addition, because it's what we talked about earlier in work session, but just for the record here during the regular meeting, we used to have a section in this SDC ordinance that talked about SDC deferral programs and or installment payments, and that was in section 11080. But because that's an issue that council wants to look at more closely and develop more carefully, what we did was we changed the language, and in subsection 6 now it says the city council by resolution may establish a program for the deferral and or financing of systems development charges by the city consistent with good business practice, Oregon law, and the goal of promoting economic development. So that language still is in here, and that's a major change from the prior drafts. So I just wanted to add that.
All right, that's good to note. Also, I think we should note that we did receive a fairly detailed letter from home builders, and legal and staff together have provided a very robust response to that, which is in our packet also. I don't know if we've heard back from them since they've seen that, or?
No, I emailed them today, but I haven't heard.
There was a response, and they are going to be setting up meetings with the staff to further discuss those programs.
And they still have the opportunities to speak to council with respect to the the resolution that you may elect to develop. So there's that. And then I think there was just one other quick question that President Alkerval raised earlier today, and that had to do with the credits. And I think you touched on the credit as to why it's 75% rather than 100%. But there's also the language below that, and that language is in the alternative in staff's sole discretion in certain very unique, limited circumstances. it may make more sense to give a refund than to give SDC credits. And I'll let you, and that was a request by the Community Development Department, and I'll let you get into a little bit of detail on why that was done.
Yeah, so there are situations, so SDC credits have to be used within 10 years. And there are circumstances, as discussed internally within the staff, where there's a one-off development that might never redevelop, or if it does, it's definitely not going to be within the 10 years. And so staff had requested that there be language to allow for those extreme circumstances. That wouldn't be the norm. The norm is to move to the credit process that we have, but it does allow for that. It puts the sole discretion within the city manager's position, except for any refund checks that are going to be over the $100,000 threshold. That would have to be approved by council. So as an additional check on that.
Okay. Other questions for staff? Councilor West?
Can you, just for the record, and can you explain why we would want to make sure we're always collecting the SDCs up front? I think when you talked about the changes in that language, you said at the time of application or at the counter within 1 week, that would be collected at that time. I just wonder if you could just expand on that a little bit.
Sure. So right now what our code says is that, actually our code does not specifically say when it's calculated. And so this is actually codifying what the current city policy is that's kind of the freeze date is when the building permit when the building permit application is deemed complete. And the reason that we do that is because if you look at when a land use application comes in and then when it goes through its DRB approval, Development Review Board approval, there could be several years before a building permit application actually comes in. And but the time frame between when a building permit application comes in and then when we issue the building permit, it's a very short period of time. The reason that we don't make it at issuance of building permit is because our staff is working on that calculation before that permit comes in. And obviously we want the applicant to know what they need to pay when they're coming in. So it doesn't really make sense to make it at that time of the issuance of building permit. So we're providing a little bit of flexibility, but not making it so long that then we're missing out on updates that we're doing, especially for developments that maybe don't ever come to pass or come to pass much in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If there's no other questions, we would be open then to testimony by the public. I have not received any speaker cards. However, is there any member of the public that would like to speak with regard to ordinance number 816? I'm seeing nobody indicating interest in testifying, and therefore I'm going to close the public hearing and ask council, what is your preference with regard to ordinance 816 on first reading?
Let me redeem myself.
What? Oh, redeem yourself with your final ordinance?
I move to approve ordinance number 816 on first reading.
Thank you.
Adopt, perhaps.
Is there a second?
Mm-hmm. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
All that work.
It was a lot of work.
That brings us to our continuing business section where we have ordinance number 836 on second reading.
Let me just get back to my place. I was so excited to see Chapter 11 pass. Ordinance number 836, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Wilsonville approving a zone map amendment from the residential agricultural holding zone to the planned development industrial zone with special considerations for screening and buffering from the adjacent existing residential use on approximately 6.16 acres comprising tax lots 300 and 500 of Section 14A, Township 3 South, Range 1 West, Clackamas County, Oregon. Nikolai Pacific LLC is the applicant owner. And I am advised that there have been no further input on this matter since the first reading.
Council, any questions for staff on ordinance number 836, second reading? If there's no further discussion.
Oh, are we just, okay, sorry.
Or questions for staff, I'm open to a motion on ordinance.
Quick question.
Questions? Yes.
We had a letter from an organization last time we spoke about this in the last meeting. They were an advocacy group for housing and for low-income people. I'm sorry, I'm spacing it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
We have heard nothing. I didn't know if we had, I thought we were going to maybe hear from them and you had a question for them and you knew their counsel.
Right, we responded to their letter of concern and we sent the letter off and we have not heard anything back on that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
I think that's clarified.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
Your Honor, I move to adopt ordinance number 836 on second reading.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? No? Being a second reading then, I will ask for a roll call vote, please. All in favor?
Counselor West?
Here?
Yes.
Okay.
Counselor Stevens?
Roll call, right?
Council President Akkerval?
Yes and no.
Counselor Lehan?
Yes.
Mayor Knapp?
Yes. Was that a yes?
I guess yes. So,
They're voting on it.
okay, I heard roll call and I got, sorry. Yes.
Still here and yes.
Still, I am here and the answer is yes.
Okay, then we have passage with 5-0 vote. Thank you. Bringing us to city manager's business.
Mayor and council, I was happy to attend the opening of the new eye clinic, and I will say that they put a lot of extra detail and attention into the design of that building, so it was nice to get to see the inside as well as the outside, and I want to compliment the DRB for doing a good job of kind of weaving that into that little area over there. And then finally, Councilor Stevens, I will miss you greatly. I've worked with a lot of elected officials in my past 25 years, and you know, when you were out there beating the pavement with Councilor, Fitzgerald, you guys were kind of out canvassing together. And I would read articles in the newspaper that your platform was, we love Wilsonville, we want to keep it that way. And I can tell you that made my heart very glad to hear, because our community survey suggests that people do love living here. And it was good to hear that your agenda was to keep it the same way as it has been. But just from a personal standpoint, just the way you go about yourself on council is the way you go about yourself in the community. You're not looking for big pats on the back, and I know that you don't really even like this right here right now. You didn't want cake, but we couldn't just let you go without telling you on behalf of staff, and I'm sure Ms. Jacobson will have a few words as well. It's refreshing to work with somebody who doesn't come at this job. It's oftentimes a very thankless job because you have to vote on some very tough things, and you have done that. But you've just maintained such a positive air about you, whether you're here at City Council or you're representing the library board and bringing that information back. I don't think people realize what you do out in the community outside of your council work. You volunteer in our parks department, you know, picking ivy. And what a wonderful job that is. Who doesn't want to do that on a Saturday for 3 hours,
Wednesdays.
right?
I go
but
Wednesdays.
It just speaks to the fact that you really do love this community. And so I'll miss you, and I'll miss the times when you come into the office and you make me jealous about all of your trips that you take. So please don't be a stranger. And you always have the, you know, the back channel.
Yeah.
The ex-city councilor deal is that you can call me anytime with any issue. I'll miss your little walkabouts where you report back code violations that we have to follow up on. So feel free to do that anytime you want, because even when you're out walking, you're thinking of the city and keeping things safe and clear vision and all that, and overhanging bushes. I'll miss all that. And if you see that in Paris, I'll give you the 800 number you can call.
The Paris city
But thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been a pleasure working with you, and you will be missed. Thank you for all your contributions.
I will miss all of you. I will miss you too, Brian. I will. But you know what? I won't be a stranger.
I know you won't.
I won't be a stranger.
And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you. And thank you for another 2 years. I appreciate it.
Legal business.
Ooh. Counselor Susie Stevens, vous êtes magnifique. Au revoir, bonne chance, bon voyage, and à bientôt, meaning we will see you again soon.
Yes, I'll definitely see you, Barbara. Yeah. And take care of a little Despero. Good luck with Despero. Yeah, your baby. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we're up to adjournment. We do have a little urban renewal business to do following, but at this point, if the council has nothing further we need at this point, I will declare adjournment at 8:36. Anybody need a break before we do urban renewal?
Nope.
All right.
Go right in.
My urban renewal here.
Okay.
All right, I will call to order Wilsonville City Urban Renewal Agency meeting for June 17th at 8:37 PM. And request a roll call, please.
Member West.
Here.
Member Stevens.
Here.
Member Ackerval. Here. Member Lehan.
Here.
Chair Knapp.
Here. Thank you. Citizens input, if there's any member of the public would like to address the agency on things not on the agenda, also anything that is on the agenda but not scheduled for public hearing. Staff and the board will make every effort to respond to questions raised during this portion, either before the meeting ends or as soon as we can thereafter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak? If not, we will move on to consent agenda item, if we could.
Minutes of the June 3, 2019 URA meeting and resolution number 300, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville Urban Renewal Agency Board authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Moore Excavation, Inc. for the construction of the Garden Acres Road and PLM 1.2 water transmission line project.
Thank you. Is there a motion on consent?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second, we approve consent agenda as read. 2 items. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Bring us to our public hearing item.
Urban Renewal Resolution number 2299, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment for fiscal year 2018-19.
And this is again a formal public hearing for the agency, so I will call to order Wilsonville Urban Renewal Agency public hearing on URA Resolution 299 as has been read. Ladies and gentlemen, agency will take public testimony tonight in a public hearing format conducted as follows. First, staff will present their report, then we will ask for testimony by proponents, opponents, and those neither in favor nor against the proposed resolution. If you wish to testify, please complete a speaker card from the counter at the side of the room. Pass it forward to the city recorder. When called, come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and make your statement. I request those providing testimony not repeat testimony already given. Simply indicating your agreement with certain prior testimony is entirely sufficient. Ms. Rodacker.
Hello, once again. So we have 2 items on our urban renewal supplemental budget adjustments. The first one is for our town center concept plan. I have a additional request, $22,500 for project management fees. This is the completion of this phase of the project and of the urban renewal funding going forward. We'll have other funding sources, so this will be the last request for this project. And for our Coffee Creek Capital Projects Fund, requesting an additional $15,000 for financial services. And during the budget process, I had been asked a couple of times, why do we do overnight loans? Our overnight loan, we have a $9 million coming up in a couple of weeks.
that will cost us less than $1,000 in fees because we do it internally. And this one was a $3.8 million bond, and we had over $20,000 between having bond counsel and the legal counsel for the bank. So just kind of a comparison of why it's such an advantage that we are able to do some of those short-term ones. Unfortunately, for the Coffee Creek, it's a new district. We don't have that kind of contingency built up in its property taxes yet, but we'll get there. So anyway, I just thought I would kind of explain the difference between the two different financing systems that we use.
Thank you. Is there any questions for staff? If not, is there any member of the public that would like to speak? I have not received a speaker card. I'm seeing no member of the public wishing to speak. At this point, I will close the public hearing and ask the board, what is your pleasure with regard to URA Resolution 299?
I move to approve URA Resolution number 299.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? If there's no discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 299, please say aye.
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 Aye. Passes 5-0. Any further business? That's your last vote.
That's my last vote. I did it, and I did it. So perfectly.
Posterity for your last renewal meeting.
I'm glad they're short.
I will declare the Urban Renewal Agency meeting closed at 8:42. Thank you very much.